Today's rant comes to us from an interview with Jordan Peterson, and he's going to tell you why you need church in your life and why you're not the all-knowing, all-powerful human being that many of us believe ourselves to be. So let's roll into it.
Lots of modern people say, well, I don't go to church because I don't believe that. It's like, well, A, who cares what you believe? Like, who the hell are you anyways? Like, and why do you even care what you believe? And how's that working for you, this belief set that you theoretically have? It's like, well, if the church is broken and you're the genius to see it, why do you go fix it?
The truth really is that people use that excuse to say, I don't really believe that, because they, number one, don't really know what they believe. And number two, just like stating that churches are loaded with judgy people, they don't really know because they've never been. And they didn't go to church long enough for anybody to know anything personal about them to judge them about. But these have become very easy blanket statements to just get ourselves out of conversations about going to church, believing in God, or any of these spiritual topics.
There are only two things I can't stand in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
What?
Maybe they are or aren't judgy. But if you don't go, then you can't be the one to change the church from inside. You definitely won't change the church from the outside telling everybody how they're judgy.
Well, then you might say, well, we'll just abandon it. It's like, okay, well, fine. You're going to get rid of that, eh? You're going to get rid of marriage. You're going to get rid of funerals. You're going to get rid of Christmas. You're going to get rid of any sense of sacred time. You're going to dispense with the whole history of what Judeo-Christian thought. You're going to dispense with the idea of the sacred nature of the individual.
See, I think a lot of people want to remove God and the accountability that God brings in our lives, but we definitely don't want to remove Christmas. We don't want to remove Sunday off every week from our lives, and we don't want to remove a lot of the benefits that come from religion, but we definitely want to remove the accountability. And so the problem isn't that we'll actually be removing the accountability. We will just remove the entire structure of the things that we live for.
We don't throw it out without having some sense of what's going to come in to replace it.
This is the big selling point of atheism, is to remove the structure of the moral code that's been given to us by religion and insert atheism that has no moral code and states that no real reason why we're here exists, and so therefore all accident and nothing makes you better than a rock. Nothing makes you better than a tree or a tire on a car. It's only the accidental course of atoms and molecules aligning to create you as a human being. And therefore, it has no moral structure. It has no moral code. It only adopts those moral codes from other places and then says that it's the one that made them. Really, atheism and all anti-religion has done is take morals from other areas and claim it for themselves. When, if you look at atheism throughout history, where they have done exactly what Jordan's talking about, throwing out all of these things, then you will see millions upon millions of dead people.
Like, I don't know what piece of evidence you would need to see, like, oh, okay, maybe this is like a problem that we should start to worry about.
Like, how far are you willing to go with this? And believe me, that question is right in front of you, because there's a wave of radicals.
We all see the wave of radicals destroying our country with the removal of morals and replacing it with my truth.
Everyone is aware of the lie, and we're supposed to just deal with the fact that we know it's a lie and say something that is untrue, which is exactly what happens, which is literally what happens in the book 1984.
And it's actually the mysterious part of it that has to be retained. The virgin birth, the resurrection, the crucifixion, all of that crazy mythology, let's say, because otherwise it just degenerates into another form of cheap social justice. And like, don't we have enough of that?
And if it was another form of cheap social justice, which we see too much of, then we would see the hypocrisy built in. We would see the conflict of interests built into our Bibles. But we see an alignment of a moral code that, if followed, will create more happiness in your life than not having a code, than not having morals. And our society is seeing that lack of a moral code. Our society is seeing the breakdown and the removal of the belief in God. And it's not that we need to believe in God, but that the belief in God creates the moral structure for our society. It creates accountability. It says to you, if you believe in, it puts on your shoulders that since there's a God, you're accountable for your actions later. That way of thinking makes you question whether you would do someone wrong or not. And if you don't have those moral codes built into you, then what's to stop you from doing someone wrong? What's to stop you from lying a little bit if it's to get you ahead of somebody else? And if you have that moral code built in, then you'll realize that you're destroying yourself at the same time that you're getting the advantage on the other person. We don't realize how much we hurt ourselves by not holding standards of expectations on ourselves. The old saying goes, you can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself, is a reality. Just because you can lie to all of us doesn't mean that you can lie to yourself, and you end up destroying your own self by telling yourself that nothing is wrong with stealing from someone. Nothing is wrong with stepping on that person's toes to get ahead, because there is no moral code. There's no accountability, and I will see no repercussions ever in my life. Only if this person will, only if the person that I'm stepping on will do something in return. And if you believe that there'll be an accountability after you die, then that will put you in check a little bit in this life that exists now, to make you question the things that you do to other people and the say to other people. But if you don't have any of that moral structure, then who cares what you say and do to other people, because there'll be no repercussions ever. And so the need of God's existence is more important than God's existence itself, because we need a moral code to guide us. Because if you haven't noticed, the lack of moral code that we have in our society is guiding us in a really bad direction. Thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks to all my new subscribers. Thanks for watching. Later.